The non-stop radio show.
Non-stop hip-hop.
The hottest underground hip-hop and R&B show on this side of the net.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to tonight's show. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to tune in here to another episode of this show as EJP Entertainment presents to you the Artist Spotlight segment here. And if you haven't done so yet, I would truly appreciate it if you follow us on IG at EJP_entertainment to stay up to date with everything related to EJP Entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a real dope segment in store for y'all here tonight, and I'm looking forward to interviewing our next guest. And tonight's EJP Entertainment Artist Spotlight segment comes to you courtesy of MJ's Hip Hop Connects. And with that said, let's pause for a quick word from tonight's sponsor of this segment.
Need to boost your career? Looking for a radio booking agent or publicist? How about a public and artist relations and development extraordinaire? Look no further. Globally, we got a writer and journalist, MJ Savino, representing MJ's Hip Hop Connects. Your one-stop shop for promotion, marketing, artist relations, and artist development. Contact us for a complete list of services, prices, and packages. Follow MJ's Hip Hop Connects on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and SoundCloud at MJ's Hip Hop Connects, and that's CONNEX. Serious inquiries only.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Major shout out to MJ's Hip Hop Connects. And if you would like to go check out MJ's Hip Hop Connects, you could do so. Once again, that's MJ's Hip Hop Connects, spelled CONNEX.biz, folks. But as we continue on, as we said, we have a special guest that is joining us right now here on the line. And ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and help me welcome to the show Miss Katherine Swain. Katherine, how's everything with you? How are you doing tonight?
Hey, thank you. I'm doing great. Thanks so much.
You're absolutely welcome. You're absolutely welcome, and thank you. And with that being said, usually at the the top of this segment, we like to give our guests the opportunity to introduce themselves to our audience that's listening right now. So if you would, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, this is Katherine Swain. I am a singer-songwriter from Northern Ohio. I just released my third single called Changes, which you can find on all streaming platforms. And I work with producer Phantom of the Beat, a.k.a. Haj G of the UMC.
That's what's up. And shout out to you. Shout out to Haj G's. Definitely familiar with his work. And definitely want to say, if you haven't done so yet, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been listening to this show here a lot recently, you know that the song Changes featuring Rhyme Wrecker has been featured here heavily on this platform in our rotation. So yes, definitely go check that out. It's a dope record if you haven't done so yet. Add it to your collection of music if you haven't done so. But with that being said, Northern Ohio, where at in Northern Ohio exactly? I have family out there, by the way.
Do you? That's great.
Yeah.
I'm really close to Lake Erie. I'm about 40 minutes west of Cleveland.
Okay. My family from that area is actually from Cincinnati. I had a chance to meet them one time before back in 1998 when we had to go to Georgia for my grandmother's funeral at that time, and I had the opportunity to meet a lot of my family from Cincinnati. And just recently I got to meet up with them again after my father's mother passed away. It was her sister and all that good stuff, so they came out to pay their respects and show up at the funeral as well. So definitely gotta say shout out to the Midwest, shout out to Ohio and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I used to live in Cincinnati when I was little, so that's nice.
Okay, so did you grow up a Bengals fan, or you don't even watch sports?
I don't really watch sports, but I come from a family heavily dedicated to football, so sports has been in my life for a long time, for sure.
I can dig that. So with that being said, we know you are a R&B phenom, and I like to say that, and I don't say that lightly, ladies and gentlemen, because this lady right here has some pipes on her. If you ever heard her sing before, you know what I'm saying is actually correct. So with that being said, we understand that you first started your musical journey back 1990, and you had got introduced to the likes of Faith Evans, Puffy and the family at the time after the passing, unfortunately, of Biggie Smalls, when you had the chance to hear the song Missing You. And it really brought an emotional attachment to you you. So like, what was that moment like for you? And was that the defining moment that let you know that you wanted to pursue a career in music?
It was a very sad time for everybody, I think, that, was paying attention to hip hop and music in general. And I was probably around, I want to say 6 or 7 when I watched that performance with my mom and my brother. And I don't know, it just really stuck with me because I think you could just feel how much sadness everybody was feeling and how sad everyone was and affected by that. So yeah, it was just kind of like a core memory, I guess, that stuck with me. And I had an older brother who definitely influenced me a lot as far as having rap and hip hop and R&B in the house. So I knew that I wanted to do music professionally probably when I was just a little bit older, but I've wanted to be a singer since I was very small. So I guess I've had that aspiration since then and since maybe being even younger, but I got more serious about it, as I got older and got into choir and talent performances and stuff like that.
And I understand that, in high school you was asked to sing the national anthem for your football team during the start of the game. So when you had that opportunity to be exposed to so many people seeing you sing, was that the first time that you ever performed in front of people?
Yeah, that probably really was. I performed in front of people when I was little, just like, when we would have parties and stuff, but it was just always my friends and family. So it's a little different when you're singing in front of people you're comfortable with. But when I was a freshman in high school, was the first time I sang the national anthem at one of the games. And it was probably the biggest crowd that I had ever sung for at that moment. And I was incredibly nervous. It took me a little time to get through it because I get very nervous. I have performance anxiety, and I have since I was very young. But yeah, that was really definitely one of my first major performances. And luckily after that, I just kept going, even with nerves, I just kept going.
So now let me ask you, with that being said, because I hear a lot of artists that, say they get performance anxiety from time to time. Do you still deal with that as a performer, or you find different ways to get around it when you get ready to perform in front of a crowd?
No, I definitely still suffer from it extremely. Definitely with singing in front of people, but also with even doing interviews and stuff, I get nervous. I think it's normal and it's part of it. And they say that if you don't get nerves, then that's not a good thing because you want the nerves to feed into your performance. But I definitely still get nervous. I went through a long period of time where I wasn't really working on music and definitely wasn't performing. So recently I've had a couple chances to start performing again. And it's definitely different being a little bit older and being more experienced just with life in general. I still got very nervous, but I felt like I was able to control it a little bit better, which was refreshing. And I think just with time and age, you get to the point where you don't care anymore about what other people might be thinking as much as I might have when I was a lot younger. So I've just gotten to the point in life where I know that music brings me so much happiness and singing brings me so much happiness that I try and focus on the good things about it and not let my insecurities or my nerves try and control what I'm doing.
I like that answer. And quiet as kept, I'm going to be very transparent with you as well. I got a little nervous before the start of this interview too, because I'm one of those type of people. I know, artists, they deal with a lot of different hosts, they deal with a lot of different personalities, and I know a lot of artists get asked a lot of the same questions. So a lot of the nerves come from with me who's just not wanting to be a lame or a dull or a boring interview, and I'm hoping I'm not doing that so far. But I had to disclose that to you.
That's not at all, and I appreciate that. I always get nervous, and my mind has a habit of always thinking the worst case scenario with something, so I'm always nervous that the interview's not going to go good, or I'm just going to say something really stupid, or just anything like that. So no matter what questions I'm asked, I'm always just happy to be interviewed by people that are interested in what's going on and supportive of music and supportive of just artists in general. So I appreciate it.
No problem. So let me ask you, with that said, what is the most, should I say, stupidest question that you've had a host ask you during the course of an interview? I'm curious now. I have to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, if I can't, there's nothing that really speaks out to me, really, that somebody's asked me that's kind of like out of pocket or different. There's just, I always just have a hard time, I have a hard time remembering, like, names of songs. So if people ask me, like, what's your favorite R&B song, or what's your favorite, song from this artist or that artist, I have a hard time with that for some reason, especially when I'm on the spot. So that's not like a bad question that I get asked whatsoever, and I think it's important to like figuring out who the artist is and who their influences are, of course. But I just always feel bad because my mind kind of goes blank sometimes, and I can't really think about stuff. So those are kind of the hardest questions. But I really haven't had anybody ask me something inappropriate or anything like that yet.
That's good. That's a good thing. And let me tell you, like, don't feel bad. We got another thing in common, because even though, like, I grew up listening to a lot of music and I know a lot of my favorite songs by ear, but if you ask me about some of those songs, I could not tell you the name of it. I could not tell you the name of the artist. So, yeah, I share that same sentiment with you.
Yes, I hate that I do that, but it's just, I don't know, I just do.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to look at it, though. There's so much music out there, especially nowadays, when you got everybody and their mother trying to be artists these days. There's so much music out there and so many people now sound the same that it's hard to tell who's who out here now.
Yes, I know I like it when I hear it, but I couldn't tell you what it's called or anything.
I feel you on that one. But let me tell you, it was one of the craziest responses that I got to a question that I asked a guest. And I'm going to make sure that person remains nameless, but I asked the person that came on here once before. They asked me, I asked them, who are some of their favorite hip-hop artists, and this person named Beyonce as a hip-hop artist. So trust me, it happens. It happens.
Yeah. Never know. Sometimes you just say stuff and you don't even think about it because you're on the spot or you're nervous or whatever. So I get it for sure.
Yeah, but we always take moments like that and we always just make the most of it, make it humorous, and don't make the person feel embarrassed and all that good stuff.
That's first.
Yeah,
that's good.
So with that being said, who were some of your musical influences that inspired you to actually really get into singing, other than just listening to I'll Be Missing You at the time when you first heard it?
Yeah, when I was pretty young, like one of the first CDs I remember having was like Rainbow by Mariah Carey. That's like a big CD for me. I was pretty young when that came out, probably like 7. But I still have that CD, and I love that CD so much, and it introduced me to a lot of artists. Like I was listening to it the other day, and like Jay-Z's on there, and that's probably the first time I ever really paid attention to Jay-Z. Snoop Dogg's on there, so it's really like the first time I probably would have been introduced to a lot of those artists. So that's a big CD for me, and Mariah just in general has been a big inspiration. I love her and her music, and she's an amazing songwriter, let alone amazing vocalist. So I appreciate her for, multiple different reasons. I absolutely love Christina Aguilera. She's right up there with, Mariah. I was a little bit older when she came out, and I've just been following her ever since. And I am very inspired by her. My voice sometimes can sometimes resemble hers, and I think that's just because I've been influenced by her from such a young age. But yeah, like I love Beyonce, I love Rihanna. I really loved Evanescence, which is more of like a rock band, punk band, but their vocalist Amy Lee was amazing, and I really loved her growing up also. So I definitely had a lot of different vocal inspirations. But yeah, those are some of like my early on influences.
I can tell you one of my favorite Evanescence samples that I heard a hip hop song ever be performed on was Time Will Tell. Are you familiar with that record?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'll have to.
Yeah, like I've heard the name Evanescence before, and I'm like, wow, it's astonishing to me that anybody would ever mention that, because it's like only maybe 2 people ever that I've ever had a conversation with when it comes to music that mention Evanescence. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I really was drawn to her a lot. So I definitely contribute her to, being an inspiration also.
Absolutely. So now with that being said, getting into your own music, like where do you draw your inspiration from to put into your music? Is it based off of basic, well, not basic, but is it based off of your personal experiences, or is it based off of a moment that you're experiencing or somebody else is experiencing? Like what drives you to write these songs in the way that you do?
Yeah, I mean, songwriting is amazing just in the sense that you can definitely write about your own experiences, but you're also just a storyteller. So, you can go about it so many different ways. I definitely am more using like personal struggles that I've been through with love, definitely, and loss. So I use like the experiences that I've gone through as my inspiration for songwriting. But I definitely think that, hopefully as I continue on, I will get to a point where I'll also be more of a storyteller, and, maybe have inspiration from somebody else that I love that's gone through something that will be used to write with, for sure.
Now, with that being said, we going back a little bit now to something that you mentioned at the beginning when you said that you took some time off, from actually making music, songwriting, and all that stuff. Like, what drove you to come back to it after, you took such a lengthy time off from this passion of yours?
Yeah, I was kind of going through it a little bit, just with stuff in life, and had started writing again. And then I just wanted to start doing more stuff that made me happy and that was good for me, and songwriting and working on music is great for me. It's definitely a form of therapy, so I was definitely using it as a form of therapy. And when I am upset or going through a hard time, music is what I am drawn to, and definitely singing, because physically singing is like a stress reliever, and a whole nother form of therapy. So I just was using it as kind of a crutch in life, and I wanted to do something for myself that was going to make me happy, and it had always made me happy in the past. So that's kind of what made me start getting into music again.
That's the beauty I always say when it comes to music, is that music can provide such an outlet for people when they're going through things, whether you're a songwriter yourself or you just happen to just indulge yourself in music, because it seems like you can always find a song that defines whatever mood or whatever experience you're going through at that particular moment. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, if you was to ask somebody what's the soundtrack of their life and what kind of songs that they got for these particular moods, like, everybody have a laundry list of songs, or should I say track list of songs that would define pretty much how they feel their life is, headed, or what direction they're in. So that's the one thing I love so much about music, is that it gives people the opportunity to express themselves in ways that other outlets wouldn't allow,
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And with that being said, coming back now into, getting back into making music, doing what you love to do, how have you been feeling since then? Like, how has it make you feel, and getting back into, the whole grind of being an artist again?
It's been amazing. It's definitely been a learning experience, just because I don't really have any experience in the industry, and now that I've kind of been getting into it a little bit, it's definitely a learning experience, just with everything and anything you can think of that has to do with it. I'm very fortunate to have a good support group, a good mentor in Phantom, for sure, and guidance from him and MJ and everybody else has been great. So I'm very lucky for that. But yeah, it's brought a lot of happiness back into my life that I didn't feel for a very long time. So I'm very grateful for it, and I definitely don't think that I will be stopping singing or writing music anytime soon, just because when you go through stuff and then you find something that brings light back to your life a little bit, you kind of have to cling on to that. So it's definitely been a positive thing for me, and I'm just, I'm trying to just focus on what makes me happy, and it's definitely brought a lot of happiness to my life.
Absolutely. And gotta say shout out to Phantom on the Beat, because he's definitely a well-known producer here in the New York City area. And I had the opportunity to talk with him briefly a few years ago, but we never had a chance to really complete the interview at the time because I had gotten sick with pneumonia. And at that time, I didn't really feel like talking to anybody, but definitely shout out to him.
Sure.
Huh?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. He's great. He's been just wonderful helping me. And, we just, we met through a mutual connection, DJ Kid Magic out of Columbus, Ohio. And, it's just been a very organic relationship. And we first started during COVID. So we had, introduced ourselves and started working together just through like phone and email. Mm-hmm. And then about a year later, I was able to go to New York and shoot my first music video for the first single that came out, Make Up Your Mind. And we were able to meet in person and meet everybody, in New York that's part of the group. So it's definitely been a great ride so far, for sure.
Now, as a young artist, was getting to New York one of your goals, or that was just something that just happened along the way?
Yeah, it just happened by chance. Like I haven't really traveled a lot in life, and I'm a homebody, and I just, stay at home and I work. And so, like, anytime I think about, like, going on vacation or going anywhere to travel, I'm, like, a beach girl. Like, I want to go to the beach. I want to sit in the beach. I don't want to leave the beach. That's where I want to be. So I just never pictured New York as somewhere that I really would visit or have the opportunity to visit. And since I have, I've just completely fallen in love for it, which I think that happens to just about everybody that goes to visit.
You still there?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no problem.
So, sorry, I have some new puppies and they're barkers. I know. But yeah, New York has been awesome. And, I drive from Ohio, and we drove in the first time to make the video for Make Up Your Mind. And it was just almost like overwhelming, just for the fact that I was visiting there in general, let alone the fact that I was going to shoot my first music video. So I definitely have fallen in love for New York, and especially Brooklyn, because that's where I mainly am when I'm there. So I can't wait to go back.
Cool. When's the next time you coming back east?
Well, we're hoping to shoot a video for Changes, so I'm thinking after the holiday season that will be the next step for the plan.
That's going to be dope. And speaking of Changes, like how did you guys come together with this this concept for this single?
Yeah, so I had gotten the beat from Phantom, who his brother, Boo Evans, Bukowski, produced the beat and sent it to him to send to me, which is amazing and was so nice that he thought about me that way. And so when I get a beat, I just kind of let it take me where it's going to take me as far as like what the song is about, what the vibe is. But yet also putting my own experience into it and what I've gone through and what I'm feeling or have felt before. So, it was just like with my relationship with Haas, it was just an organic situation, and I fell in love with that beat immediately when I heard it. So I worked on it a little bit, and then when I was in New York back in May, we were able to record it at a studio in Brooklyn. And it was just great. Like I had most everything done with it, and then we got in the studio, and Haas had Pleasant Russell come out to help with vocals, because I'm kind of like the first singer that Haas has worked with as far as trying to create an artist. He was used to working with hip hop artists and rappers, so he brought someone in that had more experience with vocalists. So Pleasant was able to really help me with like the additional background vocals and the ad libs, and he was great with that, and we worked together really well. since we just met that night. And then Rhyme Recca came through, and he was just there kind of hanging out and supportive of what was going on. And then before we knew it, he had written a verse, and it was just great because I had thought about how good that song would be with a rapper on it, prior to going to New York for that trip. But we hadn't really planned anything out whatsoever. So he showed up to show support. He ended up writing a verse. It was absolutely great. It fit in wonderfully. We recorded everything for the song that one evening, and everything just worked out great. And I've been, sitting with it since May. So I'm really happy that we're able to finally get it out and let people listen to it.
I can definitely tell you it has become one of my favorite songs. Like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, that we have been playing this song heavy in rotation here on this platform. And I just like how the way everything just seems to just fit, from the production to your vocals, as you said, Rhyme Recca's verse on it. It seemed like everything just came together, and it kind of just gave me like a nostalgic, like early 2000s, late 90s kind of feel when you listen to the music. What has been the response you've gotten from it?
Oh, we've gotten such a good response. Yeah, I mean, it's only been out for the last couple of weeks, and just everybody has been really supportive and nice and sharing it, listening to it, and I've just gotten, a lot of great responses for interviews and that kind of stuff. So I can definitely tell with each song I release, we get more and more positive feedback. So that's always a good feeling, and it's, really encouraging to just keep going and keep going.
Now, with 2023 right around the corner, like what plans do you have going forward? Now, I see that you're working on a project, an EP and all that good stuff. And with that being said, do you also plan to get out there and do some performances, maybe get around, go to various different cities and perform and all that?
Yes, I would love to do that. Performing is definitely something that I need to start concentrating on a little bit more. It's been kind of hard the last couple of years with getting everything started, just because we were kind of in the middle of COVID. So it was a good opportunity to just buckle down and write music and put music out. But performing is definitely something that I'm going to have to delve into sooner than later. But shooting a video for Changes is definitely going to happen for early 2023, and I'm really excited about that. I had a lot of great ideas for the video and a lot of great support and ideas from other people, which I'm always welcome, to having. And, just performing, I just need to get in the studio as much as I can to keep writing, because I'm only going to grow as a songwriter and an artist and a singer by doing it more and more. So definitely video for Changes, getting in the studio more, hopefully releasing, more singles, and continuing to work on music to hopefully have an EP to come out eventually, and hopefully performing.
And with the EP in mind, what will people be looking forward to when you finally do release this project?
I mean, mainly the comments I get is that people enjoy the music. They just wish that there was more of it. So, that's definitely just the goal in general, is to get more music out. And I think, releasing an EP will obviously help with that. And just kind of using it as a way to say, here I am as an artist. This is what I've worked on so far, and, we'll continue to hopefully grow as an artist, like all the artists that I'm inspired by and that I've watched grow and find their way and find their sound. So that's what I mainly want to do the most, is just keep working so I can find my sound.
Absolutely. Well, Katherine, I know you're busy. I know you got a lot of things going on over there with you. So we definitely want to take this time out to say thank you for, dropping by and gracing us with your presence here on this platform. We truly did enjoy having you.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. I enjoyed the interview, and, I hope I can come back someday.
Oh, absolutely. You can come back as much as you would like to. We would love to have more conversations with you and really, establish a rapport with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would be great.
Absolutely. And before we let you go, I just got to ask you one more thing. For anybody out there that's listening right now that would like to get in contact with you, that would like to look for your music, follow you on social media, and perhaps even book you for their shows, how can they make that possible?
So you can find me on Instagram. That's where I spend most of my time. You can find me at the K Swain. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube just by searching Katherine Swain. And yeah, you can just hit me up on Instagram pretty much.
That's it right there, ladies and gentlemen. Go look for her on Instagram, Katherine Swain. Ladies and gentlemen, our special guest here on the EJP Entertainment Artist Spotlight segment. We are definitely delighted to have you, and we want to say thank you again. And for everybody else out there that's tuned in and listening right now, here it is, folks. We're about to get back into it, and that's Changes by Katherine Swain featuring Rhyme Record. Keep it locked right here. It's your boy Emilio Wegball, and we'll be back with much more right after this.
Want to be heard on the Non-Stop Radio Show? Send us your submissions in MP3 format at Let's Network Musically 212@gmail.com.
This is Non-Stop